Alright everybody, so in today's video, I'm going to be telling you why I think the Charlotte County Sheriff's Office has started to profile Latinos. Charlotte County is 13-to-1 ratio on white to Hispanic, but on a recent arrest report, about half the people being arrested are of Hispanic origin, which just goes to show that Hispanics are now being targeted in Charlotte County, Florida. There's a few interesting things that I noted while going through the last month of arrest in Charlotte County. And one of those things is that Latinos are now making up a huge percentage of the people being arrested. The vast majority of Latinos that are being arrested for simple no valid driver's license charges. So we're going to look at the foreign nationals who have been arrested in Charlotte County, Florida. And you're going to see that at the start of the month, they only had a few arrests, but now towards the end of the month, it has increased dramatically, showing that they're targeting Hispanics. Charlotte County has damage from overlapping hurricanes, and the vast majority of these people being arrested don't even live in Charlotte County, but they're coming from adjacent areas to work with the hurricane cleanup efforts. So we're going to look at all the arrests of foreign nationals in Charlotte County over the last month, and you'll start to see a clear pattern. Over the last month, about 5 Cubans have been arrested in Charlotte County, about 2 Haitians, a Canadian Hispanic, several Guatemalans, several Hondurans, several Haitians, about 7 Mexican nationals, as well as a Puerto Rican who is a U.S. born citizen, and about 2 Venezuelans. Then there's, of course, a vast number of Hispanics who are U.S. born citizens. What most people don't understand is that the vast majority of Hispanics that are arrested in Charlotte County, Florida, are actually U.S. citizens. Let's stop talking and get into some of the arrests that we've seen over the last month in Charlotte County. The most common type of arrest we're seeing now is people who are driving without a driver's license, moving violations. This particular individual is a Uruguayan citizen. He's not a U.S. citizen, and he had knowingly been driving with a revoked driver's license. He is from Oakland Park, Florida, over in Broward County, and you're going to start to see a trend with people from other places coming to work in Charlotte County who end up getting arrested. Charlotte County has a significant European population, and this particular woman of Russian nationality, who is a citizen, was arrested for a DUI. Now, the Warm Mineral Springs has been attracting Europeans to Charlotte County, Florida for many decades. In fact, many of the residents of Charlotte County, despite being American, are going to have Hispanic last names because this area has been inhabited by Hispanics and Europeans for a very long time. Thus, not everybody getting arrested who is Hispanic is even a foreign national. Many of them are born in the United States or Americans that have a Hispanic last name. Take this individual from Miami. He has a Hispanic name. He's black by race. He is a U.S. citizen. He had an onslaught of criminal charges for possession. That's why today's video isn't so much about race as it is of nationality, because here the lines are kind of blurred because of this area being kind of diverse historically. Where many individuals are U.S. citizens by birth, white by race, and Hispanic by ethnicity. A little confusing. Despite the fact that many people in Charlotte County are from other states, it's rare to find somebody that's a U.S. born citizen, that's American, white by race, being arrested. There are a few exceptions, like this individual from Maine who was arrested on a no driver's license charge, which is a charge mostly associated with people who are undocumented, but for some reason he doesn't have it. But without a doubt, you'll see on today's video that the police is targeting Hispanics that are coming to work in Charlotte County from adjacent areas and really profiling these individuals to a large degree. The individual from Maine, his address is listed, and this is what the property in Maine looks like. So not everybody being arrested for this particular charge of no driver's license is undocumented. You do get Americans that for some reason don't have their papers in order. You would think of as many Americans that visit Charlotte County, Florida from other states, that they would make up a significant portion of the arrest, but it's really just a handful. Predominantly the people being targeted are, again, people working from adjacent areas. And at the start of the month, the arrest for individuals that have this charge of no driver's license were just a handful. It's really been in the second half of the month where all of a sudden there's been an explosion of arrests for these charges. Let's take a look at some of the individuals who at the beginning of the month had these charges. And again, it was just a handful at the start of the month. Early in the month, an individual from Mexico was arrested for no valid driver's license. And these arrests were really just rare occasions. But again, all of a sudden towards the end of the month, it has increased dramatically. I'm pretty sure we all know the reason why. Of course, not all Hispanics are foreign born. Here's another example of an individual who is a U.S. citizen born in the United States but Hispanic by race. I want to be clear about that because in the last video I did on this topic for Sarasota County, I had one ignorant individual who was saying that all Latinos need to be targeted because most of them are illegal, and that is definitely not the case, especially in Charlotte County, Florida. Most of the Latinos here are legal from the United States, born here. They're Latino or Hispanic by basically their parents, grandparents, and even beyond that, since again, this area was first inhabited by the Spaniards after all. Keep in mind, Charlotte County doesn't have a huge population. It's a relatively smaller county, but even in Charlotte County, we find people who are U.S.-born citizens who commit these types of crimes related to false identity. See, a lot of people are under the impression that only illegals are the ones who are posing this threat to the United States, and that's definitely not true. Take a look at this individual. He has an onslaught of charges. You could scroll down the page of the amount of charges that he has, all related to identity theft, driver's licenses, and falsification of documents. This poses a threat to the United States, and it isn't an illegal doing it. It's a U.S. citizen who is engaging in this activity. He has a Fort Lauderdale type address, Lauderhill, so that let us know most likely it has something to do with credit card fraud. So the notion that only illegals pose this particular type of threat to the United States is also inaccurate. Many times U.S. citizens engage in these types of activities. In the case of Charlotte County, Florida, it seems very prevalent among U.S. citizens to engage in these types of fraudulent identity types of crimes, which is something many times vinculated particularly to people who are undocumented, but that's not, again, always accurate, especially in this county. Take this white race Mexican national. His ID cards were inappropriate, invalid, and those were the charges that he had. It's interesting that this individual went on to say not that he's a Mexican national, but to also include exactly where in Mexico he's from. He went on to say he's from Monclova, Coahuila, and of course, individuals like him pose the same threat of using falsified documents. I find it interesting that this individual wanted to be specific about where in Mexico he was from, something that most people don't really see. They are just going to say they're Mexican nationals. He wanted to be specific and letting them know, hey, yo soy de Coahuila, and I'm a white Mexican. I'm nothing like the rest of these other Mexicans. Obviously, a young, educated individual like him, probably more affluent. His intentions of being in the area may be very distinct from somebody coming here to work. So question mark on this person's intentions in being here. Considering he's white, well-educated, and from a wealthier part of Mexico, it's questionable why he's here with false IDs. And in case you don't know, the living standards in a lot of parts of Coahuila, Mexico, are on par or above many U.S. southern states. So he's definitely not coming from a place of poverty. He's probably coming here for a lifestyle choice of living somewhere, maybe the culture, maybe there's some other reason he's here. But this is a clearly white, educated, white Mexican national from a wealthy part of Mexico. So it doesn't seem like he's coming here to install tile for anybody. Most likely he's here just because he wants to be here in the United States for a cultural aspect or some other personal reason. But it's obvious he's not your typical person here just to work. He's definitely from a more affluent and wealthy part of Mexico, and his intentions of running around with fake IDs is questionable, since most likely he could have probably done it in a legal fashion, but he chose not to. Then you have this Hispanic Canadian citizen from British Columbia. He lives in Lake Worth, Florida, and he has a plethora of possession charges. You could scroll down the page on this guy. Not sure why he had so many of these substances, but again, you have examples like this individual of a Hispanic from Canada. You're really starting to find some interesting specimens of individuals that you don't normally see every day in these arrests from Charlotte County, because it seems like they're purposely seeking out these individuals. And here's another example of somebody who you don't see every single day, but somehow Charlotte County found it because it seems like they're digging for these types of individuals. They found a black guy from Hialeah, American, but he has an Hialeah address, and most likely the reason he was detained It's because of that Hialeah address, which is mostly related to Cubans. Hialeah is like 98% Hispanic. The fact that they found the one black guy from Hialeah in town, this is not something that happens by chance. They're purposely looking for people from those specific places. It's a profiling. Clearly, these types of individuals that they're finding over here, it's from profiling. This is something you have to dig for to find. Then they found this Camilo Cienfuegos looking Cuban who had some possession charges. Now, in Charlotte County, Florida, the Hispanic overdose rate is a fraction of the white overdose rate. So again, this is a type of crime that you have to look for to find. Hispanics in this part of Florida simply don't engage in these activities. In a county the size of Charlotte, having so many Cubans getting arrested for these types of charges, when the overdose rate for the white population is significantly higher than the Hispanic population, for every Cuban being arrested on a drug charge, there should be like 10 to 12 whites being arrested. I mean, it's 13 to 1, and on top of that, then it's times 3, so it should be 1 in 60 or something like that, and it's not the case. It's like 1 to 4. So again, the analytics confirm that Charlotte County, Florida is starting to profile Hispanics. In the case of Cubans like him, they're U.S. citizens, so they can't be deported, but they are Cuban nationals. Again, this Camilo Cienfuegos looking guy had a charge. Did he have it? Yes, but if you look at the analytics for this county of Hispanics, it should really not be this disproportionate towards Hispanics when it's really the white population that has this crime the most often based off of overdose rates. So it just doesn't add up. And look, I didn't wake up today and say I'm going to make a video about Charlotte County profiling Latinos. That's not the way this works. I studied the analytics for their county and discovered that in the last half of the month, they've increased their arrests of Hispanics dramatically. And of course, you're finding rare crimes like these, like Hispanics with possession, when the rate should be proportionately much higher for whites, and it isn't. It means they're purposely targeting Latinos. So we're not using the information to prove our narrative. This is when you read the book, what it says. You don't have this problem in Sarasota County. We just did the same type of video for Sarasota County. In Sarasota County having a considerably larger population, a considerably larger percentage of Hispanics, they don't have the same amount of arrests for these nationalities. So being a quarter of the population, having less percentage of Hispanics, it's very clear that in fact, even the people being arrested in Charlotte County right now happen to be of Hispanic origin when they live in Arcadia, when they live in Bradenton. Just goes to show that they are literally profiling these individuals within the county because the analytics show it. It isn't me using my agenda to meet a narrative. It's actually, if you read the information about this county and you understand the analytics about this county, you understand that disproportionately this is happening, so it has to be done on purpose. Interestingly, let's keep running through some of these Cubans that are being arrested in Charlotte County right now. Again, a result of profiling an out-of-county warrant. This Cuban guy right here, he's a U.S. citizen, but he was born in Cuba, from Lehigh Acres, Florida. Again, you're profiling specific places that have large percentage of Hispanics. That's why you get all these out-of-county warrant arrests. This woman, again, born in Cuba, but a U.S. citizen. She has a Fort Lauderdale address. Again, they're profiling people who are out of the area, and she had a plethora of charges in relationship to possession. This is again another example of if the Hispanic population is overdosing at a quarter of the rate of the white population, if you have one possession charge for a Hispanic, you should proportionally have times 13 times 4. A rate of like 1 to 164 should be the ratio, and it isn't the case. So again, the numbers don't add up. These are resulting directly from profiling. Let me break that down in case you're mentally slow or something. 1 to 13 is the ratio of Hispanic to white. So for every one Hispanic being arrested, there should be 13 whites arrested. And that's the case in Lee County and Sarasota and Manatee and Corlier. It's roughly about the same. Sometimes Hispanics and blacks have a higher incarceration rate, but it's at a ratio of about 50%, not a ratio of 1 to 13. That's ridiculous. But on top of that, the white population overdoses at a rate 3 to 4 times higher than Hispanics. So now you have to multiply that 113 on top with at least a 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, giving you the ratio of about 1 to 64. So for every Hispanic arrested on this type of charge, there should be 20, 30, 40, 50, maybe even 60 whites arrested with the same type of charge if it were at random. The problem is it isn't at random. They're purposely targeting Latinos. That's why you're seeing so many Cubans end up with these type of charges. But analytically, that's not the way it works. So again, it's police profiling, targeting individuals. And for the first time in Southwest Florida, I'm seeing a red flag with Charlotte County. This isn't happening by chance. This is happening on purpose. It couldn't analytically happen like this by chance. Here's another Cuban-born person, but U.S. citizen, again, within a 1 month period, arrested for possession and paraphernalia. And he has a Miami address. So again, these are targeted arrests. They're purposely looking for a particular profile, and that is a Hispanic that has a out-of-county address. This is police profiling at its finest. If it wasn't police profiling, then by now you would have to have analytically about 180 people arrested, Americans, with the same type of charges. And that isn't the case in a small county. So again, it's targeted. There's no other way around it. It's analytical. I'm not going to sit here and give you the mathematical answer, but I'll give you the equation. You can figure it out. Without a doubt, there's definitely police profiling going on in Charlotte County right now, and they're targeting Hispanics, particularly those from Lehigh Acres, Naples, Bradenton, Fort Lauderdale, and of course, Lake Worth. Any area that has a large Hispanic population, if you go to Charlotte County, they see your tags, and you're from those areas, they're going to take a closer look at you because they're profiling. Here's a 5th Cuban being arrested within a 1 month period. Now, this guy is a Cuban-born person, but he's not a U.S. citizen. He is a Cuban national. He never became a U.S. citizen, and he got caught stealing something worth over $750. His name is Yo Ankle, but we're not going to put a bracelet on Yo Ankle. We're going to give this guy, what is the special treatment we give these people? Deportado! Gol! Talking about deportations, this particular individual detained and arrested in Charlotte County, Florida, is being held for ICE. You can see where it says being held for somebody. They're holding him for ICE, so we can assume he's also getting a Haitian deportation. Now, his charge was the most common charge we found for Latinos, which is operating a motor vehicle without a driver's license. These are not individuals who are out committing crimes, possession, stealing, or anything harmful. These are just individuals who are simply going to work with hurricane cleanup. If you get behind the steering wheel, you gotta have a driver's license. And I don't want to bore you guys repetitively, but the point is there's 7 Mexican nationals at least in the last month who were arrested for this charge. I'm just gonna fly their photos by real quick so you can see them. No need to get into detail about these individuals because, again, we'd be here all day. There's 7 of them. Mexican nationals are the #1 most arrested nationality, foreign-born, in Charlotte County, Florida. That isn't the case in Sarasota. In Sarasota, we did the same type of video, and it ended up being Honduran. So you have more Mexicans working in Charlotte County. I think it has to do with the proximity to Fort Myers and Arcadia and the fact that those poor communities have to have people going all the way into Charlotte to work. You also saw a lot of individuals from Bradenton. Now, these individuals from Bradenton, again, I guess there's more work down that way, which is crazy because Bradenton's close to Sarasota and Tampa, but they're going all the way down to Charlotte County to work in construction. That's crazy. It's actually like 8 or 9 people from Mexico. Now, one charge that I personally did not like was this one. This guy was arrested for letting somebody drive who shouldn't have been driving. Basically, the person driving the vehicle didn't have a driver's license, but if they're working together, how does he know that the other person doesn't? It's not none of his business. So I feel like this is kind of an embarrassing charge that they're charging this guy with this charge, even though he wasn't driving. I really think it was hateful and malignant of law enforcement to arrest him when he wasn't driving. I really think that's really hateful and malignant because he wasn't breaking the law. He was just going to work. It was the other person who took the risk, but they decided to arrest him for that too. That doesn't happen. If you're in a car with somebody else and you let somebody intoxicated drive, perhaps you can get that charge. But giving somebody that charge simply because the person that was driving didn't have a driver's license. If you're working with somebody else, you don't necessarily know that they don't have a driver's license. And even if you do, you're not the one taking the risk. I really do feel like that charge for that guy was really a messed up move from law enforcement. And it just, again, shows the intention to hurt these people. It's not about the people doing something bad. Like, I don't think this guy actually did anything bad at all. he was just a passenger and the guy driving didn't have a license, but law enforcement wanted to go out of their way to give this guy a criminal record because, of course, we know what the intention is. So I think that was kind of malignant and dirty on their part, but that's the way they get down. And that's not even the intended purpose of that law. That law is in place in case, like, for example, you let your kids drive when they're intoxicated, or you knew somebody was intoxicated, but you still got in the car with them. It denotes a level of recklessness and disregard for human life. That's the intention and purpose of the law, but they're misapplying the purpose just to hurt this guy. I feel like that's a really bogus charge, and I really do feel like that guy right there, they messed him up for no reason. I think with that individual right there, they're really taking the profiling a little too far. But again, the intention is clear. It's to screw these people's lives up. When they're literally going to this county in the daytime, commuting there just for work, and if they were to stay back in their home counties where they live, their chances of being arrested would be like a fraction. So it's a messed up situation, 360. I don't think I saw any Mexican nationals in Charlotte County that had any significant crimes in the month. It was all these types of simple just plain, moving violation type crimes. Let me just clarify something. There was one individual who broke into some people's sheds, tried to steal some landscaping equipment, covered in tattoos from head to toe. Literally, this individual, a lot of people are saying he's Mexican and he's to get deported. If you look up the arrest record, you'll see that Thomas Maldonado is not a Mexican national. He was born in the United States. He's a U.S. citizen. He's not deportable. So what are you going to do with him? This dude got chased by a helicopter, was trying to hide inside of a culvert. They arrested him. It's been all over the news. And, of course, you see the comments on Facebook. Deport him, deport him. What's it say right there under citizen? It says a U.S. citizen. Where was he born? In the United States. How old is he? It says 52 years old. So he was born here. He's a U.S. citizen, and he's in his 50s. That sounds like an American homegrown problem. So he may be of Mexican origin, maybe his grandparents or something, but he is a U.S. citizen, U.S. born, and he is not a Mexican national. He's not deportable. So I can say with confidence that no Mexicans committed any serious crimes out of those that were arrested in Charlotte County. Despite the fact that they're not engaging in any serious criminal activity, they make up the largest number of foreign-born people being arrested on mediocre charges, driving without a driver's license. They're being targeted even though they're not engaging in any criminal activity. In fact, they're commuting from other towns to help your town do hurricane cleanup efforts. Hurricane cleanup efforts that right now have people with no roofs, houses that are destroyed. People are literally homeless, waiting for their homes to get renovated. But of course, that's the way the United States works. That's the way some people want it. I wonder if the people who are waiting for their houses to be restored and can't find anybody except for these individuals to do these jobs are willing to wait a little longer to see if any U.S.-born citizens are willing to do those jobs, because it doesn't seem like it's happening. I mean, honestly, when you look at the arrests, the ones that have an onslaught of criminal charges like this individual are all U.S.-born people. The most serious crimes that took place in the entirety of Charlotte County, the most serious crimes individuals just racked up a long rap sheet of charges even. All those individuals are U.S.-born citizens. So these are individuals who are not contributing to crime in general, but they're being arrested on, driving charges, you could call them. But without a doubt, in Charlotte County, foreign-born nationals are not contributing to crime in any significant way. What they are contributing to is the hurricane cleanup efforts, as people are desperately waiting to have their homes repaired. And whether you like it or not, those are solid facts. You don't have to like it, but that's how it is. Got this Guatemalan right here with a failure to appear. It's a misdemeanor. He's a Guatemalan national, so if he turns himself into court, he might get deported. Probably the reason why he didn't show up. But, well, he's on the bad side of the law now, and he's going to have to be on the run. But, well, they caught him. He's arrested, so it didn't seem like going on the run went too far. This Guatemalan painter from Fort Myers went there to work, and, well, they gave him the typical charge of no driver's license. You guys notice how bad the education level is on some of these individuals getting arrested? It's like some of them have 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. A lot of these individuals didn't even finish schooling in their own country. Seems like they chose to come to the United States illegally, even though they didn't even consider finishing school in their home countries. Seems like a bad decision all the way around there. Here's another Guatemalan, aka Shopping. This guy came from Naples, Florida, again to work, and he got charged with, of course, the same old charge that every one of them got: no valid driver's license. It'd have been better if he had stayed in Naples and enjoyed the beaches and not gone to Charlotte County to get arrested. Now, there's one Haitian guy, but he is a U.S. citizen now. His driver's license was suspended. He resisted arrest. It's crazy how you got individuals like this who are now U.S. citizens, so they got their papers, and then they screw up their driver's license, and they get arrested for resisting arrest. Like, dude, you got your U.S. citizenship. Why now? You know, people go through so much work to get to that point. Now you have it, and you don't use it. You do some stupid behavior. Get your crap together. Paresse voler. Never ceases to amaze me how much effort individuals have to go through because they don't have their documents. And then guys like this who are U.S. citizens, they made it from another country, all of a sudden start to drive with a suspended license and resist the arrest and all this stupid crap. Man, you ought to have your crap together. Get your crap together, man. You're a grown man. You should know better. Talking about Haitian, ça passe na boule. This individual right here from Bradenton, Florida, decided to put his hands on somebody else. The problem is that he was born in Haiti and he is still a Haitian citizen. He is not a U.S. citizen. What do you guys say? Should we give him the big deportation order? I think so. Hey, if the homie likes violence, he's not even in the right place for that. We got to put him somewhere there's a little bit more violence, and then he can hit people in Haiti all he wants to, and they'll hit him back. You know, if hitting people is what you're into, man, you're in the wrong country for that. Here in the United States of America, the last thing you ever want to do is put your hands on somebody else here in America. But if you like hitting people, we'll find a place where you can hit people more often, and maybe they can hit you back. And if that's what you're into, then you can enjoy a place where you can be around like-minded individuals. Ciao, amigo. Adios. Now, in Sarasota County, Hondurans were the number one most likely to have these types of charges. But in Charlotte County, they're number two. There's about 5 or 6 Hondurans that were arrested, most of them for a driver's license issue. One group of Hondurans was arrested actually for an issue that I think happened on a job site. Doesn't seem like they were treated fairly there. But anyways, they damaged property. And since when does damaging property get you arrested? Unless you're, of course, Honduran. Now, here's a Honduran who's actually a U.S. citizen. The vast majority of Hondurans are illegal. This young man apparently was born in the United States. He was born in Honduras, but became a U.S. citizen. Interesting. He's a U.S. citizen. He was caught up on some charges. And, of course, he is from Louisiana. New Orleans, that area of New Orleans has a lot of Hondurans. A lot of them are starting to come over here because there seems to be a lot of racial tension in Louisiana. So we're starting to see Hondurans come to Florida from other states, and they seem to bring a lot of problems with them. A lot of them are not legal. In the case of this individual, he's one of the few who are legal, but he's still caught up in some crazy charges. Failing to register a motor vehicle when you're a U.S. citizen, come on, you can do better than that. All the other Hondurans don't have these possibilities. You have them, and then you're driving around unregistered. Come on, you should know better than that, especially being a young kid. You know better. I think out of all these arrests, the individual who was arrested for letting somebody else drive, the guy didn't do anything. He needs to be forgiven. That's a horrible thing to go after somebody for. And here's another Honduran. This one is from Louisiana as well. So you're starting to see a lot of Hondurans leaving Louisiana. Now, it says the arresting officer was Grady Judd. If that's a joke, I think that's... I don't think Grady Judd actually did that. I don't really think Grady Judd is arresting Hondurans over there in Charlotte County. If it's a joke, I would sue them for that. And if it's real, it just goes to show where the influence of the idea is coming from. If Grady Judd actually went down to Charlotte County to arrest a Honduran, we're starting to see where this is coming from of targeting these individuals. We're just trying to work in hurricane cleanup efforts. Maybe it's another officer with the same name, but if Grady Judd actually arrested a Honduran down there, that's kind of should indicate where the pressure of this change down there taking place in Charlotte County is coming from. And Charlotte County, the only thing I can tell you is look at Polk County. Do you want to become Polk County? Do you want to become a gang-infested Polk County? I feel like with as many problems as Polk County has, if I had to pick between Charlotte County and Polk County, I would pick Charlotte County hands down. I wouldn't want to live in Polk County at all. So it's like, do you want to become a Polk County? Go over there and take a look at Polk County and tell me if that's what you want to become, because it's not a place I would want to live with crime and gangs everywhere. But anyways, if it's a bad joke to be funny, I would sue them. I would absolutely sue them. I think that's a little interesting that apparently Grady Judd arrested somebody down there. It seems an odd thing to do. Why would he be down there arresting people? That's odd. That's weird. It's not even his county. It's not even his area. But it's possible. It's definitely possible that he came down here to encourage Charlotte County to go after these people who are just trying to do hurricane cleanup. If somebody wants to offer the clarification for this, I would love to hear it. Please, if you know the background details of this arrest, let me know. This is an interesting one. Alright guys, so there it is. Those are the foreign-born nationals who have been arrested in Charlotte County, Florida. It seems like the overwhelming majority of them were just trying to go to work. There's a few bad apples. I think for the size of this county, the percentage of people that are being arrested of Hispanic background is of concern. It seems like they're profiling Latinos in Charlotte County, and it wasn't happening too long ago. It'd be interesting to know what sparked this change and why immigration has become just an issue. And do you feel that now that they're targeting Latinos, because they're not targeting illegals? Let's be clear about that. Oh, let's be very clear. This isn't about targeting illegals. This is not about targeting undocumented people. This is about targeting Latinos and Hispanics. As we've seen with the ones that are here legally are being arrested disproportionately larger than other races for charges that are actually more common among other races out of all things. So let's be clear about that, about who is actually being targeted here. It seems really shameful. On our YouTube channel, you guys have seen some horror stories about the homeless people and what's going on there in Charlotte County. Now, does that mean every police officer in Charlotte County is evil? Absolutely not. We know most people in law enforcement are doing the best they can to do their job accordingly. But this influx of arrests of Latinos, a lot of them being U.S. citizens, for charges that perhaps in other communities are more prevalent, definitely leaves a question mark. But there's no doubt there's been an increase in arrests, and these individuals that are being targeted are clearly Hispanics. I guess the saddest thing here being these are individuals who are clearly working to take care of families, and they're not engaged in much illegal activity. And that's really the question mark here. They're working, doing hurricane cleanup that's much needed. Why aren't U.S. citizens doing these jobs? Question marks, right? A lot of these individuals are coming from as far as Lehigh Acres and Bradenton to work in hurricane cleanup. So they're coming from far away. That would suggest there's a lot of necessity for workers here. But I guess those workers have to operate in fear. And again, these are not people from within Charlotte County. These are people that are coming to Charlotte County to work because Charlotte County needs to rebuild. There's a lot that needs to get done. Back-to-back hurricanes along the coast.